My name is Jim Mason. I'm director of the Great Plains Nature Center. How many of you youngsters have been out to the Nature Center before? Oh, I see some hands that haven't come up yet. Please do come out and visit us sometime. We're clear out at 29th and Woodlawn in the northeast part of Wichita. We're open Monday through Saturday from 9 to 5, and the cool part of it is we're free admission. All you have to do is get it yourself out there, and you can see all the cool stuff we've got inside the building. You can also go exploring in Chisholm Creek Park. We're in the southeast corner of Chisholm Creek Park, which has over 2 miles of paved nature trails that you can go exploring in. And the park itself is open every day. Nature Center is open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5, but the park is open every day from sunup to sundown. It's your public park. Come on out and visit and see all the cool critters and all the cool habitats that there are within that park. Habitats, of course, include trees. And today we're here for our Arbor Day celebration to celebrate those great things out there with bark on them that get way up over our heads and can be awful fun to climb. Do we have any other fellow tree climbers in this bunch here? Yeah, I see those hands going up. Climbing trees fun. When I was a kid, me and all the other kids on the block, we had a little club, and we'd find every tree possible to climb in our neighborhood, and we would have our meetings up in the trees and everything. We called ourselves the Monkey Man Society. It was a great fun thing. So that's just kind of part of my background. I've always been interested in wildlife and the outdoors ever since I was really small, and that includes trees. Our Arbor Day today, got a wonderful spring day for this. We've got wonderful trees to pay our respects to. We've got wonderful, talented professionals here who take care of trees. Who make sure that they're healthy and prune them up, and you'll get to see them in action later. Now, me as a kid, I could only climb trees using my hands and my strength. These guys, they really climb trees, and you're going to get to see some amazing stuff here later on. And of course, there's all those big trucks out there, and who doesn't like big trucks? So this is cool. This is a great day. The very first Arbor Day goes clear back to 1872. It was first celebrated on April 12 in Nebraska. It was a celebration by people, our pioneer ancestors, who came out onto the prairie, and they missed the trees that they knew from New England and Ohio and the places that they had migrated from. And they saw planting trees as a way to civilize the prairie. And let's face it, the trees do us a lot of wonderful things. You have trees located around your house. They give you shade. They can be climbed, which is fun. If you've got a fruit tree in your yard, maybe you'll be able to get some apples or cherries or peaches or apricots from it. Those are products of trees. If you have a walnut tree or pecan tree in your yard, you can get those walnuts or pecans, and those are wonderful things. So these are great. Here in Wichita, we jumped all over that Arbor Day stuff. Just the very next year, local people, the newspaper, the mayor and the council and everybody, they got on top of that, and they started promoting the planting of trees. One of Wichita's founders, James R. Mead, he owned a bunch of land here, and as he sold house lots to people, he would give them trees to plant. And he said, here, this is yours. You only have to take care of it. It's a free tree. And so by the end of the 1870s, just a few years after that started, Wichita was billing itself as Forest City, USA, out here on the middle of the prairie in Sedgwick County. First statewide observance of Arbor Day in Kansas came in 1876 by proclamation of the governor at that time, Thomas Osborne. And it was the nation's centennial, 1776, 1876. It was 100 years after the nation's founding. And the Wichita Eagle, our newspaper, urged everybody to go out and plant a tree in honor of the centennial. The official day for Arbor Day was set as April 22 by the Nebraska legislature in 1885. But because spring comes earlier, depending upon where you are in the United States, different towns, different localities celebrate Arbor Day at different times so that they can take advantage of the spring weather. We have had an Arbor Day celebration here in Wichita since I was 1 year old. since 1955. That's how long we've been having Arbor Day celebrations here in Wichita. They've involved different groups over the years. Girl Scouts have been involved. You're involved today in this great celebration of trees. And there's an official designation that is granted by the Arbor Day Foundation in Nebraska for cities who meet certain criteria and to establish themselves as a Tree City USA. And we have been a Tree City USA community now for what, 33 years? 33 years. We've been doing this good. So what do we get from trees? I mentioned fruit. I mentioned nuts. I mentioned shade. I mentioned fun things to climb. We've got wood and paper and other types of products that we get from trees. They can help block the wind. Today we're using some artificial wind blockers, but you know that if you're on the downwind side of a tree or a bush on a windy day, that they can help you out in that regard. They can save you money. If you're a house owner and you want to save money on your air conditioning in the summertime, it's a good idea to have a deciduous tree planted on the west side of your house so that it shades your house and your air conditioner doesn't have to work so hard. Trees are beautiful. Let's face it, there's some gorgeous trees, not only some of the trees that have pretty flowers in the springtime, but they just grace the landscape and are a wonderful thing to behold. Trees and other green plants give us oxygen. I think oxygen is pretty important. Do you think oxygen is important? Hold up your hand if you like to breathe and have something in the air that does you good. Yeah, that's an important thing that trees provide for us. They provide homes and nesting sites for squirrels and many types of birds. Not those geese that were honking over there. They don't nest up in trees, but we have herons and robins and eagles and all kinds of birds need trees to nest in. And not only do the trees provide food for us, but they also are part of that basic part of the food chain that supports the insects, that support the birds, that support all the creatures here on Earth. They're all part of that green community that helps to support all life on Earth. So trees are kind of the most outstanding, you would say, part of that community. So anyway, we've got some fun things lined up for you today, and I'm glad that you're all here. I'm glad we've got such a wonderful day to celebrate trees on Arbor Day. And right now I'm going to turn this over to our city arborist, the guy who's in charge of all the trees in the city, Gary Farris. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, I'm certainly glad that you are all here today. I'm just really impressed about today and the weather that we're having. 3 or 4 out of the last 5 Arbor Days that we've had has been raining, and today is just a beautiful day, and I'm very happy about that. I'm glad that we're all out here. So my name is Gary Farris. I am the city arborist, and with that title comes the responsibility of all the public trees in the city of Wichita. We estimate that there are somewhere in the realm of 350,000 trees that the city is responsible for. And while that's a lot of trees, and no, we haven't counted each and every individual one, we're taking a big guess, I can't do that by myself. I can't take care of all of them by myself. And so I'm very blessed to have such a great staff to help me, and not all of them are here, but a lot of these guys that you see and gals in the orange and the lime green work for the city of Wichita, and they help take care of all the trees that we're responsible for. And so I'm very appreciative of my staff. And so a lot of times you'll be going down the street, you'll see big bucket trucks. Sometimes they'll be the city of Wichita, sometimes it'll be Right Tree Service, sometimes it'll be Westar or a private company. Give those trucks space. Don't go into their work zone, but they're there doing a service to the city. So I do appreciate my staff, and I do appreciate the geese. The geese are really adding a lot today. I appreciate that. I'm glad they're here too. I don't know if they're irritated that we're here or happy that we're here. So what I did is Enders Open Magnet School. Thank you for being here. And there's some other students here as well. Some of them actually belong to me. Some of my kids. Hi. All of my kids are here. What I want to do real quick, and I asked the teachers to have you prepare some questions. I want to have kind of a stump the chump session, and I'm the chump. So if you have some tree-related questions, I don't want to spend all day doing this, but just real quick, do we have any tree questions? Let's see, I'm not seeing any hands. Okay, I'm seeing a hand. You back in the gray sweatshirt. Okay, let me see if I understand that question. Why are some what above? Tree roots above, and some are below the ground. Okay, so you're talking about the tree roots that you see going along the top of the ground, and then we know that some are below. Okay, all right, I got the question. So there's several reasons that happens. If you look out here when we're all done, there's an area by the pond here that has eroded. The soil has eroded away from the roots. And so the roots are now exposed. They were under the ground and now they're above, and that has to do with the soil being eroded away. There's other times when the roots actually grow right at the surface of the ground, and that has to do with the soil being low in oxygen, and the tree roots need oxygen, and so they grow right at the surface to get that oxygen. And as that root gains girth, as it grows, it becomes exposed, and so you wind up seeing that. All right, so let's have another question. All right, you in the yellow. How long until a tree is full grown? Excellent question. And that is very difficult to answer unless you're talking about a specific species. Many, many trees take 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years to become full grown. Other trees don't take that long. Maybe they take 10 years or 15 years. A redbud tree, for example, it may take 10, 12 to 15 years to become full grown. Other trees like the giant redwoods in California, I still don't think they're full grown. And they've been growing there for thousands of years. So it depends on the species how long it takes for a tree to become full grown. Another question. In the gray. Glasses, yes. Wow, what a great question. How much oxygen comes from one tree? I don't know. You have stumped the chump. Excellent question. But just because I don't know does not mean that that's not a very important question and something that you should all consider. Oxygen does come from trees, and it comes from trees not because there's some tank inside a tree that's pumping out oxygen. A tree is a living, breathing being, organism that goes through a process called respiration. And I know that's a big word, and you probably haven't studied that in your science classes yet, but you will. Respiration is a process by which trees take in carbon dioxide, other minerals, or not minerals, but other products from the air and the soil, and they go through a process that creates energy for the tree, and it releases oxygen as a byproduct. So we need that oxygen, and we breathe it in. Other organisms in the world breathe in that oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide, and the trees need the carbon dioxide, so we really need each other in order to be able to continue the circle of life and have a good environment. So just because I don't know the answer of one tree and how much oxygen that one tree will produce, there is an answer. But I don't know it, but it's a great question, and I hope that you continue the search for that answer. How about one more question? Right in the back, the very, very back, so it's going to be nice and hard to hear. Stand up. How old can a tree get? That is also a great question, and we don't know because they're still living. But we do know that there are trees on Earth that are over 2,000 years old. So that's pretty old. I'm not quite that old. But yeah, there are trees on the earth right now that are still living that are over 2,000 years old. Most of the trees in Kansas are not that old. Well, all of the trees in Kansas are not that old. So a lot of that has to do with environment, conditions, soil, wind, rain, a lot of that temperature. All those things go into affect how a tree grows and how long it can grow. We have another question.
You want the answer to the oxygen question?
Oh, we have an answer. Okay.
Great question.
Okay. This is why we have Google. All right. So, on average, one tree produces nearly 260 pounds of oxygen each year. 2 mature trees can provide enough oxygen for a family of 4. How about that? That is great information. Thank you. 260 pounds, and you would think that, okay, a pound of oxygen, how much is that? I mean, well, oxygen is pretty light. So the tree produces a lot of oxygen. And so now we know. I knew the answer existed somewhere. Apparently it was hiding in Google, because the Googler knows everything. All right, so what I want to do now, and we've got a lot of fun to have this morning, and I want to get to that. And I want to start right now. What I'm going to do is I want to introduce you all to a group of people who have really had a huge influence in the city of Wichita, and the trees and the landscape of the city of Wichita, and trying to make city of Wichita a more beautiful place. Because you would all agree that trees help the city be more beautiful. Would you agree? Round of applause for trees? Yeah? All right. So what I would like to do is I would like to bring up the group known as Project Beauty. Can we have Project Beauty come up? While they come up, I want to read just a few things. There's a huge list, but I'm not going to read the whole list. But just a few things that Project Beauty as a group has done over the years. And this goes back several years. Project Beauty was started by Gwen Nasker in 1968. Now, I haven't done the math. I'm not that great at math, but that's a while back. The Project Beauty has purposed to promote the beautification of the city of Wichita as well as the state of Kansas. They've produced books on sculpture and other things that help make the city of Wichita a more beautiful place. They help with the annual tree sale, or they put on an annual tree sale, and have been involved with Arbor Day since 1994. And they help raise money for various events and projects throughout the city, as well as participate in Arbor Day every year to help beautify the city. And here comes the wind. So we're going to get stuff blown away here. Are we up here? Go ahead and come on up here. So to commemorate... Yeah, that's fine. To commemorate the efforts that Project Beauty has gone through, I want to present this plaque to Carol Graham, who's the tree lady in Project Beauty. And the plaque says, "In honor of Project Beauty for decades of service in the beautification of this city of Wichita, from the Department of Park and Recreation." So here you go. Thank you. And thank you, Project Beauty.
That's a beautiful plaque. That
And
really
here's a
is.
stand that you can use
Oh my goodness.
to display it at your table and at your meetings or wherever you want to display it.
Oh,
So would you like to say a couple things?
Brings tears to my eyes.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate everything that you do for the city of Wichita. We appreciate your participation in Arbor Day, and there's just places in our city, including like National Park that we talked about, that bears the name of the founder of Project Beauty. and the island there north of Century 2. And places like that are just help the city be a more beautiful place. And we really appreciate your efforts and all of the efforts that go into making the city of Wichita a better place to live. So,
Well, thank you ever so much. I think Project Beauty will be, we're just honored to receive this. And you volunteer for something, and it happens to be something you like very well. And one secret behind all this is I have to learn things. And this helps me because it just helps me grow. So each year we feature a different tree, so I have to learn about that tree. And in fact, we have a leaf of this tree that we're going to plant out in this area over here. I have a leaf you can take home and do some more leaf rubbings. We're set up to do leaf rubbings over here. So I also have some bur oak acorns. And see, you can learn about a tree by seeing its seed. So I have bur oak acorns. If you wanted one, you could take one home. And I do have a leaf of the scarlet oak. Now I want you to remember that, because someday when you get older, you'll be coming to this park and this tree will be right over there, and you can say, I helped plant that tree. That's such a fun thing to be a part of your memory. So thank you again for the honor, and we also would like to treat you with something.
uh-oh. A tree treat.
This tree has to have acid, so I brought you some acid to plant your tree.
Okay.
I also brought you a sculpture book.
Okay, excellent.
So this is a sculpture book that Project Beauty, we have produced it 3 times, and it does represent the sculpture in Wichita, and each one of the teachers here could get one today, and anybody else if I have enough. So.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
And this is the acid.
Okay, and that goes on the tree because it's an acid-loving tree.
We're real disappointed it doesn't have green leaves, but he's going to take a chance on it anyway.
That's right. Yeah, we don't know why these particular trees haven't leafed out yet, but we're still got our fingers crossed.
Okay, we'll put your gifts.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you very much.
You're quite
So I
welcome.
want to go over some of the things that we have, the activities that we have going on, and thank you, Project Beauty, again. Round of applause. So first off, I want to get the tree in the ground and commemorate the day with the planting of a tree. And so, Craig, if you'll get set up for that, everything's good. So we're going to go from inside here. We're going to go to just south of me outside. There's a place where we're going to plant the honorary tree, and I want there's going to be some equipment running, so I want to give enough space for the equipment to run and not be too close to that, so there's no safety risk. But as soon as the equipment's out of the way, I want to be able to gather in, talk about proper tree planting and why it's important. And then when we're finished with that and we get a picture or two, what I want you to know is we've got several things going on. We have the Double Tree, who has a great heart for trees and the city of Wichita, and they're here to help you have some fun. And they've got some cookies. I see that. We've got Project Beauty. They have some leaf rubbings. There's bark rubbings here. Outside, we have a lot of different equipment. There's going to be the equipment operators there to ask questions to and talk about what the different pieces of equipment do and how that helps tree care. There's a trailer there that you can go in from Westar Energy that has some videos and other stuff that goes on there, and some information about electricity and trees and how they work together and how to keep trees away from electricity. And we also have a climbing demonstration, and one of the ways that we take care of trees is we have to climb them. And so we're going to have a tree climber there, and I would ask that you stay outside of the circle of cones, the orange cones with the little reflective strip on them. Stay outside of that circle for your safety, okay? But when the tree climber's done, we can holler at him and ask him to do different things and see what all he can do. You never know, we might get him to turn upside down, see if his hard hat will fall off. So, absolutely, I totally forgot, and that's so important. We got Barry the Bison here. I don't know if you've heard of Barry the Bison, but he is the mascot for the Park and Recreation Department, and he's here to help you guys have some fun. And we have a lot of games down there, so there's a lot of things to do, and so I want you to have a lot of fun. But right now, we'll go and we'll go down here where the tree's going to be planted. We'll stay out of the way of the equipment. We'll plant the tree. If some of you want to help fill it back in, fill the hole back in, we'll give you a shovel and you can do that.